Hello everyone and welcome to GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on YouTube.com. I am Robert the GodSaw Campbell and we are here with yet more predictions for you. This time around is going to be for WWE Royal Rumble. Honestly, in the terms of the Rumble itself, I'm always excited going into the Royal Rumble pay-per-view because it's usually going to be a good show regardless of how matches turn out or anything to go along with that. There's just that vibe and feel about the show that usually ends up making it be a pretty good show to begin with. But let's get ourselves right into the predictions of everything. We're going to start off with the first match that will more likely be on the pre-show. It's going to be Chad Gable, Shorty G, however you want to call him, going up against Sheamus. I feel like this is the beginning of their storyline. This is their first match in this storyline. Yes, Sheamus did get one over on Chad Gable when he came back and did the bro kick to him. They did have a back and forth as well. They didn't really do anything this week on SmackDown with that. But I feel like this is the beginning of their storyline, and Sheamus is going to be the one that's going to be going over in this match. So up next, we have the United States title match. I don't know if this is going to be on the main card or on the pre-show. I have a feeling this will be a pre-show match based off of the other matches here. But it is going to be for the U.S. title. It's going to be Andrade going up against Humberto Carrillo. And honestly, I do see Humberto Carrillo picking up that title at some point in time. Matter of fact, I think I made a prediction by the end of 2020, or at the end of 2020, that he would have the U.S. title to begin with on that one. So I don't feel like this is the time that he's going to win that. He's going to win it at some point in time, but I feel like there's still a little bit more that they want to do with Rey Mysterio and Andrade. So Andrade is going to keep the title here at this point in time, and I'm going to go with Andrade to pick up the victory and keep the championship. So this match, the next match, I feel like is probably, honestly, I feel like this is going to be the match that maybe even kicks off the show, the main card. It's going to be Baron Corbin, King Corbin, going up against Roman Reigns in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Here's the thing. Hopefully they go all over the place with this one. They either go to concessions or anything like that. They have an entire baseball stadium to play with. Hopefully they play with it on this one. It's not one of those things like, oh, they brawl through the crowd, they do this, and eventually, or it's like they brawl through the crowd a little bit, then they go back to the ring, and then nothing really happens. Maybe they brawl in the entranceway. No, have fun with this one. You have the entire baseball stadium. Do something with it. It would be absolutely fantastic if they did something with it, even if it was to the point of maybe they fight into the into one of the dugouts or something like that at that point in time. But because I feel like one of the dugouts is going to be the entranceway, but if they fight into the other dugout, that would be absolutely fantastic. I know not a lot of people want to see this feud keep going, but I have a feeling they are going to keep it going, and it's going to be kind of like the sub feud for Roman before going into WrestleMania at that point. And I'm going with King Corbin winning this match. I just have that feeling that Baron Corbin, King Corbin, is going to pull this victory out and go further along. Obviously, I have a little bit more for that a little bit later on to go along with it. Maybe a small spoiler alert. I don't know. With that, we'll see how that plays out and how my thinking is still going for the Men's Rumble match when I talk about that. But up next is going to be the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match. It's going to be Bayley going up against Lacey Evans, and Lacey Evans doing her complete 180 in the terms of being heel to babyface after Survivor Series. That has probably been the most interesting thing here. It seems like there's jumps in the Lacey Evans story. She is getting over as a babyface. That is fair enough. She is getting over with a fair amount of the crowd as a babyface, but in the terms of what I've been watching and everything like that, she has been speaking, especially with what she was saying on Friday night. It's like those were the exact same things she was doing 2 months ago to begin with. And like I said, it feels like there's been a lot of jumps in her story. Like one jumping from heel to face was almost instantaneous. Also, the aspect of where a lot of this started, which was with Sasha Banks, hasn't even been fully resolved yet. You would have figured she would have been have to resolve something with Sasha before she goes towards Bayley. But that is where we're at right now because of whether Sasha's injured or that's how they're playing off the story. I don't exactly, obviously we don't exactly know where they're going with that one on that, but they kind of jumped to where she's fighting Bayley now and going for the SmackDown Women's title, even though she probably has the original unfinished business with Sasha that hasn't even been resolved in any way, shape, or form. They have been running an angle that Sasha was injured, though she may be injured in actual things. So hopefully that's not necessarily the case to begin with. But like I said, it feels like the story has had a lot of jumps to it, and that's why I feel like they're jumping to her winning the title. So I'm going with Lacey Evans on this one. I know there's a rumor mill, and there's a rumor mill every year about Sasha going up against Bayley in some way, shape, or form for WrestleMania. They could do that still. It doesn't necessarily have to have the title or anything to go along with it, though it would make the title at WrestleMania kind of feel secondary because even though, like I said, Lacey's gotten a lot better, it still feels like they would want that title in a more marquee area. And those two would be the more marquee at this moment, as they are still, as WWE is still trying to build up other people that aren't either the Four Horsewomen, Asuka, or Alexa Bliss at this point in time with those ones. So you figure they would probably still want that title in a more marquee area, and they're still wanting to build other people with that. But I feel like Lacey Evans is going to get this one here. I have that feeling that they're going to put that on Lacey Evans, even though her storyline was like, I'm heel next night or the next show that I'm on. I'm now babyface. And there was no real explanation for the turn. And they built it up over the time. And like I said, she's done pretty well getting over with the crowd with that one as well. So, but like I said, there's a lot of things to jump to, which is her not having her issues with Sasha fully resolved, but now she's going after Bayley and the title. So I feel like there's been a lot of jumps in the story, and they're going to jump right to the title win to go along with that. So I'm going with Lacey Evans. Long and short here, I am going with Lacey Evans. Up next, we have Becky Lynch going up against Asuka for the the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Last year this match was really good at the Rumble, and it's kind of interesting that they've had this story sitting in their back pocket the entire time. They never really went to it until they decided to go back to it at that point, at the point that they've come up with this. It's interesting that they didn't even really try this right after WrestleMania because there was that unresolved issue between Asuka and Becky because Asuka tapped out Becky last year with that one. And they've done a lot of really good stuff with this where, Becky is unsure of herself to like being more this Monday where it's like, okay, she is more sure of herself going into there. But that whole unsure that she was able to beat Asuka in any way had been a really good point that they had been bringing up throughout this entire time that they brought the feud back. And I feel like they are going to go with Becky Lynch on this one. As much as you want to say, give it to Asuka, have her beat her again, only for Becky to find her way to get the title match back at some point, whether it be at like the next pay-per-view or WrestleMania, where she could win and finally like slay that demon. I don't think that's the route that they're going. They're going to have her finally slay this demon here, especially with what they have been doing. You've seen that that Kairi Sane and Asuka have been able to beat Becky. Kairi had pinned Becky during one of the tag matches. The ending to the ladder match where Asuka pulled the ladder and then ended up getting the win that way. They've been beating Becky at every turn. So now it's probably time for Becky to get that upcoming and finally slay that demon of Asuka being able to beat her in any way, shape, or form, or basically at every turn. So she's finally going to get that here at the Rumble with that one. So yes, Becky Lynch for that. Up next, we have the Universal title match. We have The Fiend Bray Wyatt going up, should I say The Fiend Bray Wyatt and more than likely his red light going up against Daniel Bryan. I don't feel like they're going to get rid of that red light in there. I liked what they did on SmackDown. It was an interesting side to a contract signing where, yes, it did end out in a brawl, and yes, it was more of Daniel Bryan getting whipped by the strap because this is going to be a strap match. So you had your normal brawl, but the aspect of the Fiend stabbing the heel hand, so he took the hurt hand and stabbed the heel hand and then started smearing the blood as the contract signing on that one was a nice little touch, and I liked what they did there. I do like what they've been doing with this storyline where, somebody's finally getting a little bit to the Fiend, where the Fiend has been very dominant throughout most of his feuds. Daniel Bryan's had little snippets here and there of not say dominance, but finally getting to the Fiend on that one. Obviously, a Fiend going over on SmackDown would make you think, if you go by basic wrestling math, that Daniel Bryan's going to win this one. I don't think so. I think the Fiend's going to be keeping that Universal title going into WrestleMania season. So I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt winning this match with that one. Up next, we have the two Royal Rumbles matches. So let's go ahead and start with the Women's Royal Rumble. This is an interesting one because I think over the last few days, they've announced some more people. But for like about 2 or 3 weeks, they've only had like 4 people announced. And then last week, they added one more with Natalya. Then some more on SmackDown appeared on there. And obviously, a few more have come up over the last day to go along with that. So it's going to be interesting to see how many NXT people or potential returns happen in this particular match. You would imagine most of the people who are not going to be in the 2 women's title matches will be in this match, and you may see one or two of the people who maybe lost those matches appear in this match as well to go along with it. So that will be an interesting area. It'll be a thing where how many NXT people, I feel like they will, I feel like out of the 2 matches, especially with the men's match where they've announced about 26 of the people so far, that I feel like the more focus on NXT side is going to happen over here in this match with the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, with that being said, though, here's who I feel like are more likely to win the matches. Or win this match. The most likely 2 at this point would be somebody who hasn't necessarily been announced, but will more than likely be in this match, Shayna Baszler or Charlotte. Charlotte's been the main focal point of this match. I don't think, usually when somebody, in the terms of building the Royal Rumble, where somebody is a main focal point in there, they usually are a Final Four or something like that, or maybe even in some cases the winner. But this is not going to be the case where the focal point person is going to be the actual winner, I think. I feel like it's going to be Shayna Baszler on that one. They're still on this aspect that, yes, Becky Lynch and Charlotte matches are really good. And their feud is really good, but they're going to go with a fresher feud because they can go back to the Becky-Charlotte feud if they want to at any given time with those ones. So I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler with the off chance that you might get a Ronda Rousey return in there as well. With that one, there's obviously a lot of people that you could have for returns or anything to go along with that on there. But I don't feel like any of them would be necessarily the winners. If Ronda returns, that's a more than likely she wins it. But who knows on that one. So I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler to win the Women's Rumble. Now on to the Men's Royal Rumble. Like I said, they've got about 26 of the people already announced. So that leaves 4 for returns NXT. on that one. Hopefully we see somebody like a Matt Riddle or a Keith Lee in there. Hopefully we get at least 2 NXT people. And it'll be nice for a couple of returns or anything like that as well to go along with it. A lot of the rumored returns in there, I just don't see them happening unless if they have actually been cleared, especially on the women's side. There's been that big rumor that Paige is going to return in the Rumble. Edge is going to return in the men's Rumble. With that, I don't necessarily see them happening. Would I be happy to see that? Yeah. If they're cleared, everything like that. It's not one of those things like, oh, I just want them in the ring, because both of their circumstances of why they had to retire are very scary circumstances where they took wrong bumps at any time, they were done. It almost happened to Paige as well. That's why she ended up retiring, because they came back and thought she was good, but she took one wrong bump, and it wasn't even really the scariest bump in the world to go along with it, but really bad things ended up happening. So you don't want to see that happen in any way to go along with it. So in the terms of those returns, I don't necessarily see that happening. I guess also, before we fully get into the men's rumble, I can try to give my final 4 for the women's rumble. I'm going to go, obviously, Shayna Baszler. She's the person I'm picking to win. Charlotte, probably going to be in the final 4 to go along with that. I feel like they'll put Sasha in the final 4 as well in there. There's a lot of rumors that she's actually injured and may not even be in the match. That's based off of what they've been doing with this entire thing to go along with it, where, Lacey's been going after Bayley more with that one. And for a final 4 person, let's go with a legend. We'll just say Michelle McCool. Or actually, you know what? Let's go with a different NXT person. We'll say Candice LeRae. How about that? Instead of Michelle McCool, we'll go Candice LeRae. So my final 4 that I feel like would be for the men's rumble at this point as well is going to be Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. I really want to see Keith Lee in that final 4. I don't suspect Brock Lesnar is going to be in that long to be into the final 4 to go along with that. Also, that's going to be the other areas like Brock's number 1. Who's going to be the person who eliminates him? There's actually, you might want to take one of those spots away for returns, because I think it was spoiled by him himself, and it was Cain Velasquez on that one. Is rumored to be in the Rumble on there. I think he had said it to one of the UK people that he was actually in the match. That'll be interesting to see if he would be the case. He's the likelihood for eliminating Brock Lesnar and setting up any type of WrestleMania match with that one, but I don't think he would be in the final 4. So I have I have Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee. Who would be an interesting one for a final 4? Interesting one for a final 4. I don't want to just say Seth. I know he's in the match. It'd be interesting if he gets eliminated rather early. We'll just say Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins will more like he's booked very strong, so try putting him in the final 4. Out of those 4, 3 of those I probably see the likelihood being of Keith Lee, Drew McIntyre, or Roman Reigns. In this case, I don't see it being Drew on that one. I see it being Roman. I see Roman winning the Rumble this year on that one. And yeah, it's just how I end up feeling. It's like it would be one of those things where it's probably time to put him in that main event area. They've done a really good job with Roman in the terms of, trying to get him over as a babyface. They're not necessarily just like, here you are at the top of the card at all times with that as well. I think they've done a really good job with that. And as much as I would like to see Drew McIntyre be the one who wins that, I think I would like it as well. I personally would like it because I actually kind of like Roman Reigns. That's gonna be a bit controversial to say and everything to go along with that, but I've always kind of like Roman Reigns on that one. But I'm going to go with Roman Reigns to win his second Royal Rumble match. And it will be a very interesting thing to see what they do. And when it comes to the terms of eliminating Brock Lesnar, more than likely it'd be Cain Velasquez, or he will do something that causes it to go along with it. Who should be the person that really eliminates him? It should be somebody like a Keith Lee, or, you know, maybe he finally gets his revenge, Kofi Kingston, with that one as well. I would prefer that. And there's a lot of other people that would be more interesting, but more than likely it'd be Cain Velasquez. But I'm going to go with a prediction and go out there on a little bit and say that it'll be Kofi. Getting a little bit of revenge on that one. So that is everything I have for the Royal Rumble. It should be an interesting pay-per-view. It should be an interesting pay-per-view and see where they decide to go with everything. But all in all, I think it should be a fun show. And with that being said, I thank you guys for tuning in to GodSaw's Turnbuckle and these predictions. If you liked everything you heard or anything on that one, please do give a like, share, or subscribe. Anything you can do to support the channel. Thank you guys for watching everything, and I hope you have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.